more companies.
This is not news, because I've been saying this since last year, that the way our tax policy is structured and the trading policies and then our import duties are structured, if we are not careful, businesses will be collapsing, and those that cannot stand the heat, they will then have to back out. And this is what we are facing now. The very moment we have one of our trade partners, Citidia, had a problem with the GRA and therefore they need to pack out, then we said it's going to happen and the trend will continue. So government quickly need to do something to reverse this trend. And they didn't listen to us. They went ahead and they introduced more draconian policies, which is not business friendly. So if you look at it, these are the consequences that we are facing. And more companies, those who cannot stand it, will still pack out. If you ask our local entrepreneurs, they will tell you the challenges that they are going through for them to survive, you see.
What is the biggest challenge? What is causing the problem?
The problem is our the tax policies that we have. Things that are not supposed to be there, they put it there. Every single item that we purchase in this country, every service tax that we pay it in double.
Double taxation?
In three-fourths, yes. Some of them in three-fourths. Businesses are working, they are making profits, and they're supposed to pass on this profit to expand their facility, employ more. This should be the mantra of government to ensure that these businesses survive. But unfortunately, you pass laws that you take more tax from them. The other thing is that the other tax that was even passed, this sustainability bill that was passed, and therefore businesses will have to cough up 25% of their profit to government for free of charge. And then they will calculate the taxes that you are supposed to pay. Who loves it? If you look at our structure, most of the organizations, the businesses that we have, the taxes that we pay, including levies and everything, is almost amount to 61 to 70%. So if this is the situation, then businesses will then have to look around where they can put their investment that they will make profit. In our country, our city is not stable. For the last 8 months, we lost almost about 60% of our investments. And no businessman will continue looking at this trend. And the city is on the downfall. When I said last year, November, that we'll be hitting 15 cities per dollar by June 2024, they said I'm a doomsayer. What is happening now? So we needed to do things that will rather encourage people to come in. We say that Ghana is the gateway to Africa. What makes us the gateway? Let us come and invest in this country, make the necessary production to feed the West African country, because we don't have the numbers. If any businessman wants to come into Ghana or come to West Africa, what they will look at, what are the population and what are the relative peaceful investment or the economic environment that they can invest. The only thing that we have is we have a peaceful nation. If it comes to economic, we are down. If you go to Nigeria, they have the numbers for every producer, because when they produce, they can buy. Here is the case in this country. You have Guinness Ghana Limited producing. Yes, still, Malta Guinness is coming from Nigeria, but you cannot send what is produced in Ghana here to Nigeria the way they come in. You have Coca-Cola other people bringing in these products when Coca-Cola Ghana is here. So what will happen? If they cannot meet the challenges and then they become uncompetitive, either they fold up or they downsize the stuff that they have, who bear the consequences? Because we say government has no business in employing or setting up factories to employ Ghanaians, because you can't be in competition with the private sector. All that government need to do is to look at the health sector, the education, providing roads and other housing facilities for people to benefit. Then we do the employment and the production. Then we pay the taxes. Then you make the money to develop. Unfortunately, it is in the reverse. So if we are not employing, and the little that we have to lay them off, then the country is going to be a problem. That is why anytime they need money, they have to come to these few companies to raise the taxes for them to pay. And we cannot continue on this trend.
So the longer the current situation goes on, the more businesses will pack out because they cannot work within this.
Definitely. You see, if you take most of these manufacturing sectors, they look at the investments on the ground. Am I going to fold up and just leave the country? Who is coming to buy my facility if I put it on sale? And you cannot just dismantle everything and leave. So you look at what can I do to survive? So let me wait and see what is happening. Those who have taken the painstaking approach and the decision to leave, it wasn't just yesterday. It's something that they planned for 5 years, and things were still not changing. So then they decide that they have to go. If you look at those on the ground, if we cannot, let us look at other environments where we can put our investment, because Ghana investment is a total loss. So they look at the West African countries or any other country, African country that they think they can put their investment. So they go there. The tax rate for an investor is lower than in Ghana. So therefore, they downsize their businesses and then go and set up the facilities over there. Once they succeed, what will happen is that they will then fold up the rest of their investment in this country, and they will go. And once they are there, what it means is that they will produce to export to Ghana. What are we doing? Is this the way that we want? Instead of us to bring them in and produce and then export, we are creating the environment for these people to live or to create an alternative solution, and then our investment goes down. So it's the government who loses, because anytime these things happen, the employment sector also suffers. You see, recently you heard the Senate complaining that the Senate scheme is going down. It's because the number of employees that they have is going down. So you and I are going to suffer tomorrow. You see, so it's very important that government look at these things and then try to reverse some of the policies that are not helping. Because when these people leave, it becomes an international news. And then people start asking questions, what is happening in Ghana? Let me be careful if I'm going to put my money there. So those who are in, if you ask every company, they will tell you their own story and how they are suffering. If you have a production sector, your current is not stable. Electricity goes off anyhow they want. We have the power, but mismanagement has brought us to this position. You hear the minister say, this is not doom so, but it's what doom says. Let me ask you a question. Switch, off and switch. Off and on. What does it mean in P? Is it not doom so? So why are they trying to play politics around this? We have a serious challenge that they need to tell us when these things are going to be over. So for us to plan properly to ensure that going forward, we can have a sector that is productive. But they don't care. They are playing with these industries, and therefore, as you are producing, you incur further losses. Let me tell you, if a manufacturer of beverage is in the process of production and the power goes off and they don't have their genset automatically switched on, what happens is that every amount of liters that you have within your system will have to be drained off. So just imagine how much they are losing and the taxes that they have to pay on top of this. Government will not tell you made some losses, so let me take some of the taxes away. They will rather come after you. If you don't pay, they close down your facility. That is how come most of them have gone down. So when they realize that they cannot pay the taxes on the ground, then they have to decide what to do. We have CFAO taking chunk of their businesses to Cote d'Ivoire. The big that has been in this country in the 60s. Why should they lose their position as a producer? And before they leave, government should have had an interest in them asking why they are leaving, so that if there's any remedy to put in place to ensure that they stay in place. They did not even find out what is happening. They said they are going, let them go. And who is the loser? Ghana will be the loser. So there are so many of them that are still contemplating whether they still have to leave or at the appropriate time. They will hear, and you hear more announcements coming on board. The SG bank that SGS, that bank that said that they are leaving. Do you think it's a decision that they took only yesterday? No. But they look at the trend. It's not a good business, because when you look at most of these businesses that has left this country, most of them are the francophone businesses, that it's easy for them to invest in that area than investing in Ghana. Because when they brought in their investment and then they lost. Jumia came into Ghana. Glovo came into Ghana. They invested as much as $30 million. When they are leaving, ask them how much they are left with and they are leaving. Their business went down. So we have a serious challenge that we need to deal with.
How do we deal with this?
So when we tell the government that there's a problem, they need to listen.
And I'm wondering how government, I know the last time we had a conversation on this, I asked for solution, you prefer the solutions, the opposite happened in the budget. But still, we can still talk about how this has to be dealt with. What do you expect government to do urgently if they're interested in solving this problem?
They need to look at the policies that they have introduced and reverse some of them, because they are not helping. They are not friendly at all. The country needs money, true, but who caused it? So Masum mismanaged the country, and the citizens will have to suffer for it. The businessman will have to suffer for it. That shouldn't be the case. So we should look at the policies that we have complained about all this time. Let them reverse some of them. It will not be too late. At least we'll see the light at the end of the tunnel, that there will be future for us to keep our business running. But if nothing is done, then I don't know. Because look, if you have your investment and you suddenly lose almost about 40% within a space of 1 month, what would it tell you? Then you have to sit and think of what step you are going to take. You see? So, government is the one who has created the problem for us to go through. It is not the private sector. It's government's own policy that is happening that most businesses will have to hold up. Because anything that you put in there, the results will either be positive or negative. But you always have to look at the positive side. The negative should be at a lower end, where definitely some may go through, but quickly they can recover. But when you are going down as a deputy stand and 80% of your businesses go down and 20% is the sources, then what kind of business are you running? You see, and the little that will be left, government will also come after you to pay. Businesses are suffering. It's not easy at this time at all. So when we are going through all this situation, we expect government to also introduce measures that will reverse and give us a positive outlook. Otherwise, we'll be left with nothing.
I see. Mr. Aggrey, before I let you go, in fact, yesterday the president was at Blue Skies and he's been speaking boastfully about his legacy. For you in this sector, what will be the legacy of Nana Akufo-Addo?
See, when he was at Blue Sky, maybe they did not tell him what they were going through. Or either they told him and he went there to sympathize with them. Blue Sky is producing at a loss. But because they need to keep their international partners, that is why they are still in the business. They import fruits from South Africa, from Southern America, to ensure that they can meet their demand, the requirement that they are supposed to offer to their clients. The outgoers that they created in this country are down. When they produce, they prefer to sell to the market, and before even considering Blue Sky, what they have to give them. And sometimes the quality becomes also a problem. So they have to fall outside to bring in mangoes, to bring in pineapple, to bring in coconut and others. Copra, they import sometimes. Mango, they import sometimes. Why should it be so? Because when they bring in, they are bringing in at a loss. Because you can import, process, and export when you don't have any percentage left in this country. So it's very important that the president himself appreciate the problem that the people are going through. Just don't sympathize with them, but give us a solution to the problem, which we have, and we've been telling you. High taxes will not help. High utility services will not help. Paying high electricity, paying high water, and even the water that we use, we need to retreat them at a higher cost before we can put it in the market or use it for production. So we say they should sit up and let us see that Ghana is working. If there's anything to go by for me to assess this government, in fact, I would say he has been the worst president I have ever seen.
Worst president you have ever seen?
Worst president I've ever seen. See, our president is the only president that has gone through the regime of J.J. Rawlings down to Mahama. And therefore, every problem that we faced during this, from Rawlings to Kufuor, President Kufuor to President Atamis to President Mahama, to his time, he has seen everything. And therefore, when he stood on the campaign platform and he said, I'm going to make sure that more industries come into this country so that we can produce to export. You will make money in your pockets and businesses will boom. So we had that confidence in him that, yes, he has really come to solve the problem. So people had believed in him and they gave him the mantra. What have we seen? He and Bawumia together, what have we seen from 2016? The only best time that they had a good governance was in 2017 and maybe 2018. Down the line coming, what have we seen? Losses. Losses. So he has not done anything that I would say that we need to give him the 80 or 100% that someone will require. For me, if I would grade him, I'll grade him below 50%.
Below 50%?
Below 50%.
In terms of performance?
In terms of performance. Because if I'm a businessman and I put my money in your country and I make losses, what is the essence? I will only say that Ghana's economy is good because I've made profit. But when I make losses, there's nothing that I can say than to say that your administration is a failure. What are we seeing today? Electricity. We are having a challenge. Instead of them to come out and tell us what the problem is. They said, no, we have the power, but mismanagement has been the hallmark. Corruption has been the hallmark. Downgrading businesses to make politicians more profitable in their own belief is what we are facing now. Because now the politicians even have more money when before they had nothing. When they come into office, they came into office as we see now. Just check all the people who are following the government and see how many houses all of them have put in up. How many cars have they bought? When in 10 years ago, they cannot even buy a car. But they came in within a year. Most of them have multiple houses and cars. Where are they getting the money from? So the easiest way to become rich is to join the political fray, which is not good. You see. So he came and said, I'll fight corruption. Look, when I met him in 2016, November 18th, at the Guta office, I told him, Mr. President, you have nothing to lose. You must leave office for you to leave a memory in every Ghanaian that had it not been President Akufo-Addo. Because at that time I was calling him the president in waiting. So he had nothing to lose but to set an example for us to live on. Unfortunately, he is leaving office with so much on his hand, if like in a criminal way, and he is a rebel, we say that he is leaving office with so much blood on his hand. But in our business and in our balance, we will say that he is leaving office with so much mess. What is he going to do to fix what is going on in the next 6 months? There's nothing that he's going to do. There's nothing.
But he fears that the election of someone else other than Dr. Bawumia will be a distraction of his legacy. That does it suggest that his legacy needs to be destroyed?
As for Dr. Bawumia, the least you say about him, the better. Everything that he has said, go back in Chronicle, Chronicle of everything that he has said and play them on air for people to listen and look at which one has come true. Even in the church room, he was lying and people were clapping for him. What kind of behavior is it? Don't you fear God that even in the church room, you will still lie? He said he's the mate. He's not the driver. So we should give him the driver. But if the mate is worse, the driver become worse. The worst person that will happen. Because you are the one sitting in the car and there's a shahomami. Then bang, we all go into the gutter. Who did it? Is it the driver? When something is good, he said he did it. Is he not the same mate? That he's touting himself that, oh, I did it and it's successful. But when it comes to the total failure of the government, you said I'm the mate, so don't blame me. I don't know what is wrong with MPP. They should have been kicked that long time ago.
Ms. Aggrey, thank you very much for speaking to us.
Thank you very much.
Samuel Aggrey is General Secretary, Food and Beverages Association of Ghana. Lawyer, you were taking us to the